Welcome.
Let's start the book. The 4-Hour Workweek. Introduction. Escape the rat race and live now. What if everything you have been taught about work and retirement is completely wrong? Timothy Ferriss shatters the traditional illusion of working for 40 years just to enjoy a few twilight years of freedom. The 4-Hour Workweek is a manifesto for a completely new way of living, offering a practical blueprint to escape the 9-to-5 grind. Instead of deferring your dreams, this book teaches you exactly how to multiply your time and income right now. You will discover how to automate your business, eliminate useless tasks, and liberate yourself from geographic constraints. It is not about being lazy, but rather about maximizing your absolute output with minimal wasted effort. Get ready to rethink your entire approach to money, time, and true happiness. Point 1. The new rich and shifting your mindset. We have all been sold a very specific, carefully packaged script about how life is supposed to unfold. You go to school, you get a good job, you work 40 to 80 hours a week for 40 years, and you save every penny so that one day when you are 65 and your joints are aching, you can finally relax and enjoy life. This is what Timothy Ferriss refers to as the deferred life plan, and it is a fundamental trap. The foundational premise of this book is that waiting until the end of your life to enjoy the fruits of your labor is a deeply flawed strategy. The world has changed dramatically, and the rules of wealth and freedom have shifted entirely, creating a new subculture of people who refuse to wait. Ferriss calls this group the new rich, or the NR for short. The new rich do not measure their wealth solely by the balance in their bank accounts. They measure it by their freedom, their mobility, and their control over their own time. To join the ranks of the new rich, you must undergo a profound psychological shift and completely redefine your relationship with money and work. The first major concept you need to internalize is the difference between absolute income and relative income. Absolute income is the simple raw number you earn in a year. Relative income, however, factors in the most crucial variable of all: time. Let us break this down with a practical example. Consider an investment banker who makes $500,000 a year. By traditional standards of absolute income, this person is incredibly wealthy. However, this banker works 80 hours a week, faces constant stress, never sees their family, and cannot take a vacation without checking their phone every 5 minutes. Now, consider a freelance consultant or an online business owner who makes $50,000 a year but only works 10 hours a week from a laptop on a beach in Mexico. Who is truly richer? The banker makes more absolute money, but the online business owner has a vastly superior relative income. They earn more per hour of actual labor, and more importantly, they have the freedom to spend their remaining hours exactly as they choose. The new rich understand that money is completely useless if you do not have the time or the physical energy to enjoy it. They focus on maximizing their relative income. They seek to decouple their time from their earnings. Instead of trading hours for dollars, they build systems, leverage technology, and create automated income streams that pay them whether they are actively sitting at a desk or sleeping. This shift in perspective is the critical first step in the entire framework of the book, which Ferriss organizes into the acronym DEAL: definition, elimination, automation, and liberation. Definition is about throwing away the old rule book. You must stop asking yourself how you can climb the corporate ladder and start asking yourself what your ideal lifestyle actually looks like. Why do you want to be a millionaire? Is it to look at a bank statement with 6 zeros? Or is it to have the freedom to travel, learn new languages, and spend time with your loved ones? Most people chase the millionaire status because they mistakenly believe it is the prerequisite for a life of freedom. Ferriss argues that you can achieve the millionaire lifestyle without needing the $1 million in the bank. To make this shift, you have to challenge the assumptions that society has drilled into your head. You have to question why you are working an 8-hour day. Is it because you actually have 8 hours of productive work to do? Or is it simply because the 8 hour workday is a historical hangover from the Industrial Revolution? You must stop confusing busyness with productivity. Being busy is often a form of laziness, lazy thinking, and indiscriminate action. The new rich do not strive to be busy, they strive to be effective. Throughout this journey, you will need to confront the discomfort of being different. When you start ruthlessly cutting out useless tasks, ignoring emails, and designing a life of leisure and targeted productivity, people will criticize you. They will call you lazy, irresponsible, or crazy. But you must ask yourself, is it crazier to design a life you love right now, or to work a job you despise for 4 decades in the hopes that you might have a few good years left at the end? By embracing the mindset of the new rich, you are choosing to prioritize your present vitality over a distant, uncertain future. You are taking back the steering wheel of your life. Point 2. Conquering fear and defining your dreams. Fear is the invisible fence that keeps most of us grazing in the exact same pasture for our entire lives. Even when we realize that the traditional script of working until retirement is flawed, we often stay paralyzed in our unfulfilling jobs because the alternative seems terrifying. What if I fail? What if I run out of money? What if I ruin my resume? Timothy Ferriss intimately understands this paralysis. Before he formalized the strategies of the 4 hour workweek, he was running a sports nutrition supplement company called Brain Quicken. He was making good money, but he was working 14-hour days, constantly stressed and miserable. He desperately wanted to take a break and travel to Europe, but fear held him back. To break free from this paralysis, Ferriss developed an incredibly powerful exercise called fear setting. We have all heard of goal setting, but goal setting is useless if your fears prevent you from taking the first step. Fear setting is the systematic process of defining your worst-case scenarios and realizing that they are rarely as catastrophic as your imagination suggests. The process involves taking a piece of paper and dividing it into 3 columns: define, prevent, and repair. In the define column, you write down the absolute worst things that could happen if you take the leap you are considering. You must be brutally specific. Do not just say, I will lose everything. Say, I will lose my current income. I will have to move out of my apartment. I might have to sell my car, and I will feel embarrassed in front of my peers. Once you define the nightmare in vivid detail, it completely loses its power over you. You realize that ruin is highly unlikely and that most worst-case scenarios are merely temporary setbacks. Next, you move to the prevent column. For each worst-case scenario you defined, what proactive steps can you take to decrease the likelihood of it happening? If the fear is running out of money, the prevention might be saving a 6-month emergency fund or securing a freelance client before quitting your job. Finally, in the repair column, you write down how you would fix the damage if the absolute worst did happen. If you quit your job and your new venture fails, could you get your old job back? Could you find a similar job in the same industry? Could you move in with a friend temporarily? You will quickly realize that the damage is almost always reversible. But Ferriss adds one more crucial element to this exercise. You must calculate the cost of inaction. We frequently measure the risks of doing something new, but we rarely measure the terrible risks of doing absolutely nothing. What will your life look like in 1 year, 5 years, or 10 years if you stay exactly where you are? The emotional, physical, and spiritual toll of remaining in a soul-crushing job is often far more devastating than the temporary financial risk of trying something new. Once you see clearly that staying put is guaranteed misery, taking a leap of faith becomes the only logical choice. With your fears dismantled, you can transition to defining your dreams. The problem with traditional goal setting is that people use vague, unquantifiable terms. They say, I want to be rich, or I want to travel more. Ferriss introduces the concept of dreamlining, which is the process of applying clear timelines and exact financial costs to your ideal lifestyle. You need to figure out exactly what you want to have, what you want to be, and what you want to do. Do you want to own an Aston Martin? Do you want to spend a month learning tango in Buenos Aires? Do you want to hire a personal chef? Write it all down. Then do the research to find out exactly how much these things cost per month. Most people are shocked to discover that their ultimate dream lifestyle does not require $1 million in the bank when you calculate the monthly cost of the car lease, the rent in Argentina, and the personal chef. Your target monthly income TMI might only be $6,000 or $8,000 a month. This realization is profoundly liberating. You do not need liquid millions, you just need a continuous cash flow that meets your target monthly income. By shifting your focus from a massive, intimidating lump sum to a manageable daily or monthly income target, the dream suddenly becomes attainable. You break down your TMI into a daily income requirement. If you need $6,000 a month, you only need to make $200 a day. How can you generate $200 a day? That is a highly solvable puzzle. By conquering your fears through logical analysis and costing out your dreams through precise mathematics, you build the psychological foundation required to completely restructure your life. Point 3, the art of doing less to achieve more. Busy is a disease, and it is highly contagious in our modern corporate environments. We live in a culture that glorifies long hours, packed schedules, and constant exhaustion. If you are not stressed and running from meeting to meeting, society implies that you are not working hard enough. But the 4-hour work week violently rejects this notion. The second letter in the DEAL framework is elimination, and it is perhaps the most crucial step in reclaiming your life. Before you can automate your business or liberate yourself from the office, you must ruthlessly eliminate the useless tasks that are bleeding your time dry. To achieve this, Ferriss leans heavily on two fundamental principles of time management, the Pareto principle and Parkinson's law. Understanding and applying these two laws will completely revolutionize how you approach productivity. Let us begin with the Pareto principle, commonly known as the 80-20 rule. Named after the Italian economist Vilfredo Pareto, this principle states that 80% of your results come from just 20% of your efforts. Pareto originally noticed that 80% of the wealth in Italy was owned by 20% of the population, and he even observed that 80% of the peas in his garden came from 20% of the pea pods. Ferriss applied this exact rule to his own life when he was overwhelmed with his sports nutrition business. He sat down and analyzed his customer base. He realized that out of his 120 wholesale customers, a mere 5 of them were bringing in 95% of his revenue. Meanwhile, the vast majority of his time, stress, and customer service headaches were being caused by the smallest, least profitable customers. His solution was radical but highly effective. He stopped chasing the difficult, low-profit customers and focused entirely on catering to the top 5. He even fired his most toxic clients. The result? His work hours plummeted, his stress evaporated, and his profits actually increased because he had the time to properly serve his best buyers. You must apply the 80-20 rule to every aspect of your life. Which 20% of your tasks produce 80% of your desired outcomes? Conversely, which 20% of your activities are causing 80% of your stress and consuming your time with zero return? Once you identify these areas, you must have the courage to eliminate the non-essential. Stop doing things just because you have always done them. Stop attending meetings that have no clear agenda. Stop engaging with energy-draining people. If a task does not significantly move the needle toward your goals, it deserves to be cut without mercy. The second pillar of elimination is Parkinson's law, which states that work will naturally expand to fill the time available for its completion. If you give yourself a week to write a report, it will take you a week of agonizing, procrastinating, and tweaking to get it done. If you are told that the exact same report is due tomorrow morning or you will be fired, you will miraculously find a way to finish it in a few hours, and the quality will likely be just as good. The traditional 8-hour workday is the ultimate manifestation of Parkinson's law. Because employees are forced to sit in an office from 9 to 5, they unconsciously stretch out their tasks to fill the 8 hours. They browse the internet, chat by the water cooler, check their email 50 times, and hold pointless meetings. Ferriss argues that you must artificially constrain your time to force yourself to be productive. The magic happens when you combine the Pareto principle with Parkinson's law. You use the 80-20 rule to limit your tasks to only the most important ones, thereby shortening your work time. Then you use Parkinson's law to artificially shorten your work time, which forces you to focus only on the most important tasks. If you only allowed yourself to work 2 hours a day, what would you do? You would instantly drop all the trivial nonsense and focus exclusively on the high-impact actions. By imposing strict, unbreakable deadlines on yourself and refusing to work past a certain hour, your brain will adapt. You will become laser-focused, incredibly efficient, and immune to the daily distractions that paralyze your peers. Doing less is not about being lazy. It is about recognizing that most of what we do is meaningless and having the discipline to focus only on what truly matters. Point 4. Cultivating the low-information diet. Your brain is a high-performance engine, and the information you consume is the fuel dictating how smoothly it runs. Just as a physical diet filled with junk food will make you sluggish, heavy, and sick, a mental diet filled with trivial information, negative news, and constant interruptions will completely destroy your ability to focus and produce meaningful work. In the modern era, we are bombarded with an unprecedented tsunami of data. We voluntarily subject ourselves to push notifications, endless social media scrolling, and 24-hour news cycles. We do this under the illusion of staying informed, but Timothy Ferriss argues that this constant intake of information is actually a toxic addiction that must be broken. To reclaim your time and your mental clarity, you must cultivate a low-information diet. This means deliberately choosing selective ignorance. Ferriss famously advocates for completely ignoring the news. He does not read newspapers, he does not watch television news, and he does not scroll through news websites. This idea often shocks people. They ask, how will you know what is going on in the world? Ferriss's counter-argument is simple. If something is truly important, you will hear about it. Your friends, family, or coworkers will inevitably bring it up in conversation. By letting other people filter the news for him, he avoids wasting hours reading about depressing, out-of-your-control events that have absolutely zero impact on his daily life or his goals. Consider how much time you waste reading articles about celebrity gossip, political outrage, or distant tragedies. Does consuming this information make you happier? Does it help you achieve your target monthly income? Does it improve your relationships? The answer is almost always no. It only serves to spike your anxiety and drain your cognitive energy. By adopting selective ignorance, you free up massive amounts of mental bandwidth that can be redirected toward creating value and enjoying your life. Beyond cutting out the news, the low-information diet requires a radical restructuring of how you handle communication, particularly email. Email is the ultimate productivity killer. It is a convenient way for other people to dictate your schedule and dump their priorities onto your lap. Most office workers keep their email inbox open all day long, responding to messages within minutes. This creates a devastating phenomenon known as context switching. Every time you stop a deep, focused task to check an email, it takes your brain an average of 20 minutes to fully refocus on the original task. If you check your email 10 times a day, you are destroying hours of potential productivity. To combat this, Ferriss introduces the concept of batching. Batching is the process of grouping similar routine tasks together and doing them all at once, rather than scattering them throughout the day. Think of it like doing your laundry. You do not wash one pair of socks every time you take them off. You throw them in a basket and wash them all at once at the end of the week. You must treat your email, phone calls, and administrative tasks exactly the same way. Instead of leaving your inbox open, you should check your email only twice a day, perhaps once at noon and once at 4 in the afternoon. To make this work, you set up an autoresponder that politely informs people of your new schedule. The autoresponder might say, "Due to high workload, I am currently checking and responding to email twice daily at 12 p.m. and 4 p.m. If your request is truly urgent and cannot wait, please call my mobile." You will quickly discover that almost nothing is truly an emergency. People will learn to solve their own minor problems instead of instantly emailing you for help. The principle of batching extends far beyond email. You can batch your phone calls, your errands, your meal prep, and your financial management. The goal is to minimize the setup time required to switch between different types of activities. By aggressively filtering the information that enters your brain and strictly batching the administrative minutiae of your life, you build an impenetrable fortress around your time. You transition from being a reactive pawn, constantly responding to the demands of others, to a proactive architect of your own schedule, free to engage in deep, uninterrupted work. Point 5. Outsourcing your life and finding freedom. Time is the only non-renewable resource you possess, yet you frequently trade it away for pennies. You spend hours doing your own laundry, cleaning your house, managing your calendar, and doing tedious data entry, all because you want to save a few dollars. But if your goal is to join the new rich and maximize your relative income, you must stop viewing yourself as an employee of your own life and start viewing yourself as an executive consumer. The third letter in the DEAL framework is automation. And the most accessible way to begin automating your life is through the strategic use of virtual assistants or VAs. Outsourcing is no longer just a tool for massive multinational corporations. It is a profound lifestyle hack available to anyone with an internet connection. By hiring a virtual assistant based in a country with a lower cost of living, such as India or the Philippines, you can delegate the repetitive, time-consuming tasks that drain your energy, often for just a few dollars an hour. However, before you can successfully outsource, you must overcome a massive psychological hurdle, the "I can do it better myself" syndrome. Many people resist hiring an assistant because they believe it will take longer to train someone than it would take to just do the task themselves. They also resist because of the financial cost. Why pay someone $5 an hour to do research when you can do it for free? Ferriss completely flips this logic. You must calculate your target hourly rate. If your goal is to make $100,000 a year, working 10 hours a week, your hourly rate is roughly $200. Therefore, any time you spend doing a task that you could outsource for $5 or $10 an hour, you are literally losing money. You are undervaluing your own time. Even if you are currently broke and trying to build a business, hiring a virtual assistant for just 10 hours a week is a critical exercise. It forces you to learn how to communicate, manage, and build systems. It forces you to step out of the worker mentality and into the manager mentality. Ferriss shares incredible stories of how he used his overseas assistants to handle everything from scheduling interviews and paying bills to resolving personal disputes and researching complex business strategies. He even had a team of VAs arrange his entire travel itinerary and book his flights while he was sleeping. The key to successful outsourcing lies in the clarity of your instructions. You cannot simply hand over a vague task and expect perfection. If you tell a VA, "Please design a website for me," you will be severely disappointed with the result. You must provide hyper-specific, step-by-step instructions. You need to outline exactly what tools to use, what fonts to apply, what the deadline is, and what to do if they encounter a specific problem. Ferriss recommends requesting a status update after the first few hours of a new task to ensure the assistant is on the right track before they waste an entire week going in the wrong direction. Moreover, you must empower your assistants to make low-level decisions without bothering you. One of Ferriss's greatest hacks was telling his customer service team that they were fully authorized to resolve any customer issue that cost less than $100 without asking for his permission. This single rule eliminated hundreds of emails from his inbox and vastly improved customer satisfaction because problems were solved instantly. However, There is a golden rule of automation that you must never violate. Never automate something that can be eliminated, and never delegate something that can be automated or streamlined. If a task is useless, do not pay someone in India to do it. Just stop doing it altogether. If a task can be handled by a software script or an automatic payment system, do not pay a human to do it. You must ruthlessly eliminate first, then use technology to automate. And only then should you hire a human to handle what is left. By building a reliable remote team, you effectively clone yourself, multiplying your output while simultaneously freeing up your own schedule to focus on the high-level strategy that will actually fund your dream lifestyle. Point 6. Building a muse to fund your dreams. Financial freedom requires a vehicle, and that vehicle must be capable of driving itself. You cannot achieve the 4-hour work week by simply becoming a highly paid freelancer or consultant, because in those roles, you are still trading your precious hours for money. If you stop working, the money stops flowing. To achieve true geographical and financial independence, you must build what Timothy Ferriss calls a muse. A muse is not necessarily your life's passion, nor is it a massive tech startup designed to change the world and go public. A muse is a low-maintenance, automated business designed specifically to generate maximum cash flow with minimal ongoing investment of your time. Its sole purpose is to finance your ideal lifestyle. Ferriss's own sports nutrition company, Brain Kickin', eventually became his muse once he applied the principles of elimination and automation to it. But how do you go about building one from scratch? The first step in creating a muse is to target a specific niche market. Do not try to create a product for everyone because marketing to everyone is incredibly expensive and highly inefficient. Instead, find a small, passionate group of people who are already spending money to solve a specific problem. Are you deeply involved in the world of rock climbing? Are you an expert in training a specific breed of dog? Find the magazines they read, the forums they visit, and the problems they complain about. Once you have identified a starving crowd, you can figure out what product to sell them. When it comes to the product itself, you essentially have 3 options: resell an existing product, license a product, or create your own. Reselling is the easiest but offers the lowest profit margins. Licensing is excellent if you have a great idea but do not want to manufacture it. However, creating your own product is the holy grail of the Muse business model, particularly if that product is an information product. Information products such as online courses, instructional manuals, or specialized video series are the perfect muse. They cost almost nothing to duplicate, they can be delivered digitally without need for physical shipping, and they have massive profit margins. Ferriss emphasizes that your product must have an 8 to 10 times markup. If a physical product costs you $10 to manufacture, you must be able to sell it for $80 to $100. This high margin is absolutely critical because it allows you to afford advertising, manufacturing errors, and the cost of outsourcing your operations. Once you have a product idea, do not blindly spend thousands of dollars manufacturing it. You must micro-test it first. This is a crucial concept that separates successful new rich entrepreneurs from those who go bankrupt. Micro-testing involves setting up a simple one-page website that pitches your product as if it already exists. You buy a few dollars worth of targeted Google AdWords to drive traffic to this site. When a customer clicks Buy Now, they are taken to a page that says, "Sorry, we are currently out of stock." This might feel slightly deceptive, but it is the most accurate way to test real-world demand. Asking your friends if they like your idea is useless. People lie to be polite. The only true test of demand is whether a stranger is willing to pull out their credit card and attempt to give you money. If your micro-test proves that people are eager to buy, then and only then do you manufacture the product. After the product is created and proven to sell, the final step is creating the automated architecture. You must remove yourself from the bottleneck of the business. You hire a contract manufacturer to make the product. You hire a third-party fulfillment center to store the inventory and ship it to customers. You hire an overseas virtual assistant team to handle customer service emails and process returns. Your only job is to occasionally check the advertising metrics and ensure the gears are turning smoothly. By building a highly automated, high-margin muse, you create a perpetual motion machine that deposits money into your bank account while you are sleeping, traveling, or learning a new skill. Point 7. Breaking free from the traditional office. The four walls of a cubicle are often the final prison bars standing between you and absolute freedom. Even if you have optimized your time, eliminated useless tasks, and perhaps started building a muse on the side, you might still be chained to a desk by an employer who demands your physical presence from 9 to 5. The final letter in the deal framework is liberation. And for employees, this begins with the systematic process of escaping the office and transitioning to remote work. You cannot simply march into your boss's office and demand to work from home because you read a book about the 4-hour work week. If you do that, you will likely be fired. Transitioning to remote work requires a calculated step-by-step negotiation strategy that proves to your employer that letting you work from home is in their best financial interest. Ferriss outlines a highly effective strategy for this, often referred to as the puppy dog close. When a pet store wants to sell a puppy, they do not ask you to commit to a 15-year purchase. They tell you to take the puppy home for the weekend, knowing that once you experience the joy of having it, you will never bring it back. You must treat your remote work negotiation the exact same way. The first step is to drastically increase your value to the company. You must become indispensable. Take on a crucial project, upgrade your skills, and make sure your boss knows that replacing you would be a massive headache. Once you have established leverage, you implement the second step: prove increased output offsite. You do this by calling in sick for a day or two, but instead of resting, you work from home and produce a staggering amount of high-quality work. You want your boss to clearly see that you accomplish twice as much while homesick as you normally do in the office. Next, you prepare a business case. You do not frame remote work as a personal favor. You frame it as a productivity enhancement for the company. You point out the distractions of the office, the constant meetings, the commute, the interruptions, and you propose a revocable trial period. This is the puppy dog close. You ask your boss for just 1 or 2 days a week of remote work for a 2-week period. You assure them that if your productivity drops even slightly, you will return to the office full-time with no complaints. Because the risk is so low, most bosses will agree to the trial. During those trial days at home, you must work like a machine. You must be hyper-responsive to emails, deliver projects early, and make your productivity undeniable. Once the trial is over, you sit down with your boss and review the metrics. You show them the undeniable proof that you are more valuable to them when you are not in the office. From there, you gradually expand the trial. You ask for 3 days a week, then 4, until you are entirely remote. If your boss is fundamentally opposed to remote work despite the evidence, you must be prepared to make a difficult choice. Are you willing to sacrifice your life's freedom for a rigid, outdated corporate policy? For the new rich, the answer is no. If an employer flatly refuses to evolve, it may be time to use the automated income from your muse to quit and never look back. Quitting a job is terrifying, but Ferriss reminds us that getting fired or quitting is often the best thing that can happen to a person. It forces you out of your comfort zone and propels you into action. Once you cut the geographical tether to a specific building in a specific city, the world completely opens up. You realize that you can earn dollars or euros while living in a country with a fraction of the cost of living, like Argentina, Thailand, or Vietnam. This geographical arbitrage instantly multiplies your wealth without requiring you to earn a single extra penny. Escaping the office is not just about avoiding a commute, it is about reclaiming the fundamental human right to choose where and how you exist on this planet. Point 8, the conclusion. Freedom is incredibly intoxicating, but it can also leave an unexpected, gaping void if you are not psychologically prepared for it. When you finally achieve the 4-hour work week, when your business is automated, your income is secure, and you have successfully liberated yourself from the office, You will suddenly find yourself with 40 to 50 extra hours of free time every single week. For the first few weeks, it feels like a glorious vacation. You sleep in, you watch movies, and you relax. But soon, a profound existential crisis often sets in. Society trains us to define our entire identity by our profession. When you ask someone who they are, they usually respond with what they do. I am a lawyer or I am an accountant. When you strip away the busy work and the daily grind, you are forced to look in the mirror and ask, who am I when I am not working? This sudden lack of pressure can lead to severe boredom and even depression. Timothy Ferriss experienced this firsthand when he achieved his freedom and moved to London. He found himself pacing his apartment, obsessing over minor details, and feeling entirely lost because the adrenaline of the rat race was gone. To combat this, you must aggressively plan for the liberation phase of your life. The ultimate expression of this freedom is what Ferriss calls mini retirements. Instead of hoarding all your relaxation for the end of your life, the new rich take 1 to 6 months off at a time repeatedly throughout their prime years. A mini retirement is not a typical vacation. A vacation is a frantic 2-week sprint where you try to escape your life by taking photos of tourist traps. A mini retirement is about relocating. It is about moving to a new place like Buenos Aires, Berlin, or Kyoto, and truly immersing yourself in the local culture. During these mini retirements, you must focus on 2 vital concepts to fill the void: continual learning and service. Continual learning means pushing your brain and body to acquire complex new skills. You do not just sit on a beach drinking cocktails. You learn to speak fluent Spanish, you train in martial arts, you master the tango, or you learn to sail. Learning provides the structure, progression, and sense of achievement that you used to get from your job, but it does so in a way that enriches your soul rather than draining it. The second concept, service, is about looking beyond yourself. Once your own financial and personal needs are met, you will naturally feel a desire to contribute to the world. This does not necessarily mean starting a massive global charity. It could mean tutoring local children in the country you are visiting, cleaning up a beach, or using your newly discovered business skills to help a nonprofit organization become more efficient. Service connects you to humanity and provides a deep, enduring sense of purpose that money alone can never buy. Ultimately, the 4-Hour Workweek is not a book about doing nothing. It is a book about being fiercely intentional with your time. It teaches you that life is far too short to spend it trapped in a cubicle, endlessly responding to emails, and deferring your joy for a retirement that is never guaranteed. By defining your true dreams, eliminating the trivial, automating your income, and liberating yourself from geographic constraints, you take absolute ownership of your existence. You stop being a passive spectator in the deferred life plan and become an active participant in the present moment. The tools are available, the blueprint is clear, and the world is waiting. The only question left is, what will you do with your newly reclaimed life?
You made it to the end. Great job. Did you find the secret messages hidden inside? If you listened carefully, your life is already changing. Your decision-making is getting better. Your problem-solving is stronger. Your leadership and communication are improving. Your thinking ability is growing every day. Now do these 3 things. 1. Subscribe so you don't miss more secret messages. 2. Like this video. Help others find it too. 3. Share. Send this to one person you love. That person can change their life as well. Keep listening. Keep finding secrets. See you next time. Bye for now.